Hey, Chaotic Crew, Brian here. We've got a great new deck tech today. Going more Avatar since we got some recent spoilers on that. Make sure to like the video if you enjoy it. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any future deck techs or giveaways. Speaking of giveaways, I know the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles decks was announced, so gonna be doing a deck upgrade and giveaway for that in the near future, so make sure to become a channel member as well to give you an extra entry for that. Otherwise, yeah, this episode's brought to you by Mana Pool, a fast-growing marketplace for Magic the Gathering that makes buying and selling cards easy. Their optimizer helps you get the best value when buying cards, and the team is focused on making it a great experience for buyers and sellers alike. Big thanks to Manapool for helping us out here. As we dive into this deck tech, really cool little deck here. I've named it Aang's Dry Eyes because really you want to blink with this deck, with this commander. Aang at the Crossroads, 2 of anything, and Bant, so green, white, blue. Human Avatar Ally, 3/3 with Flyer. When Aang enters, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a creature card with mana value 4 or lesser among them onto the battlefield, put the rest at the bottom of your library in a random order. When another creature you control leaves the battlefield, transform Aang at the beginning of the next upkeep. So that's a interesting thing right there. And then on the back side, you have a 4/4 flyer, Aang Destined Savior. Flying, land creatures you control have vigilance. At the beginning of combat on your turn, Earthbend 2. So you could go a couple different ways with this commander. I actually like blinking, and specifically blinking Aang. So continuously blinking Aang to get lots of high value, low mana creatures from your deck to the battlefield. That's kind of the best way I feel like it is to play this deck. If you're going to end up transforming Aang as well at some point, but if you blink Aang, Aang just comes back as the front side. So really that's the strategy we're going with here. So let's get into the deck. Eternal Wanderer is great. It's a board wipe. It can also blink something, potentially remove a blocker on your opponent's board, or make a 2/2 double striker. Like, all those are great, and it's a pretty solid card right there for the deck. We've got 31 creatures here, so a really strong blink package here. Let's dive into it. We've got Birds of Paradise, we have Noble Hierarch as 1-drop mana dorks, right? For the Bant colors, really great there. Then we have, ramp cards like Sakura Tribe Elder. Wood Elves gets a land when it enters. Also have Farhaven Elf, which gets a land when it enters. Gala Greeters, is getting treasures as creatures enter. Coiling Oracles, like semi-ramp. Sometimes it'll draw you a card, sometimes it'll ramp you. So those are important to have in the deck as well. Then we have cards that are going to draw us cards, like Coiling Oracle. Dowerport Mage will draw us cards. Elite Guard Mage will draw us cards, gain us life. We've got cards like Wall of Blossoms, Wall of Omens, which will draw us cards and gain us life. So those are really important there. Going back to some of the better cards, either Chandler can draw us a card, but can also make a token, or can also, bounce something up to our opponent's hands. That's really good. This is probably the meanest card in the deck. There are a couple mean cards you could definitely add in if you wanted to continuously just keep your opponents from playing the game. Your opponents are not going to have fun with that, and you're not going to want to play this deck if you do that. So I try to make this a bit more, hey, let's just outvalue our opponents with small creatures and kind of go from there. We've got Brago King Eternal to continuously bounce all of our or blank all of our permanents, which is great. Charming Prince is also strong if you get it off of Aang, you can just re-blink Aang, right, and get something that way, which is really cool. Eternal Witness, and every time it enters, is going to get something from your graveyard to your hand, so that's fantastic to have in the deck. The only creature I think, there's one more, but pretty much the MVP of the deck as well is Galadriel, Light of Valinor. You cannot get it off of Aang, but it works so well in tandem with what Aang wants. You're just going to do really well here. You're going to get mana, draw cards, and then buff up your whole team. So really fantastic card here. And I think Aang works really well in a Galadriel deck as well, so something to keep in mind there. Jadit Ojanen, Mercenary. When he or another legendary creature enters, you may pay a green. If you do, create a 2/2 green cat warrior with Forest Walk. So not always going to happen, but nice to have just a 3/3 for 3 and also be able to potentially get some more tokens on the battlefield. Katara the Fearless is a new card here. It's if a triggered ability of an ally you control triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. Now, we're not running an ally-focused deck, but Aang is an ally, so we're triggering our commander multiple times. And I thought that was worth it enough to put Katara in here. Knight of Autumn is fantastic. We have Reclamation Stage as well to remove some artifacts, enchantments. Knight of Autumn is also pretty flexible, which is nice. Kutsil's Flanker can exile player's graveyard, can also give us 2 life and scry 2, or Kutsil can enter with a bunch of +1/+1 counters. Lord of the Third Path, just like Reclamation Stage and Knight of Autumn, destroys an artifact or enchantment, and then tap it to give us and an opponent some card draw, so pretty nice there, especially with Politics. Got Restoration Angel to essentially get off of Aang, and then re-blink Aang, so we get another card, so you just get a free 3/4 flyer, which is amazing. Soul Herder is just a way to do once per turn blink something, which is fantastic. Love that in this deck. Thassady Dwelling, that's the same thing. Starfield Vocalist is fantastic because it is, you know, essentially Panharmonicon on a stick, and then Sun Titan can get some of our cheaper creatures out. Typically, it's going to be a ramp piece or Reclamation Stage, some removal. I actually missed a few creatures here. OG the Exquisite Blade is going to gain 2 life and scry 2 whenever it enters, and then when you cast your second spell each turn, exile up to 1 target creature you control and return it to the battlefield. So a way to blink our commander, and also can give us some instant life game and some, you know, card selection, which is really good there. Preston the Vanisher, also fantastic in the deck. I know he's a little pricey, so if you can't afford it, you know, maybe proxy him, or you don't have to have him in the deck, but really strong. Whenever another untoken creature enters, if it wasn't cast, create a token that's a copy of that creature, except it's a 0/1 white illusion. So you're essentially getting double triggers off all your creatures that are entering, and even though you'll lose the copy of Aang or any other legendary creature as they re-enter, you're still going to get the ability at the enter the battlefield ability. And then being able to potentially exile something as well is great for Preston. Renar, the Ever Watchful, just a 2/3 flying vigilance, and then is going to give you a bunch of spirits as the game goes on. Not an amazing card, but if you can get it for free off of Aang, not bad, right? So not terrible there. And then lastly, Witch Enchanter kind of goes with the Rex Sage, the Knight of Autumn, the Lord of the Third Path, just another way to remove some pesky stuff on the board. So that is nice there. Sorceries, you know, mainly it is ramp, right? We got the classic 2 drops, 3 visits, Nature's Lore, Rampant Growth, Farseek. We also have Cultivate and Kodama's Reach, which is important, and then Supreme Verdict as like another board wipe to have in here. I got 18 instants, so a lot of those bad boys. I included Psych Rift as a, you know, board wipe. Brings us up to like 3 potentially, so I like having it in my decks, and I try not to include too many game changers here. But we've got like 5 counters with, or 4 counters, excuse me. Offer You Can't Refuse, Arcane Denial, Render Silent, and Negate. So those are fun there. You know, the classic Swords to Plowshares is in here. And then we have, you know, Beast Within, Generous Gift, right? Stroke of Midnight to remove some stuff. Then we have a lot of blink things, right? We have Cloud Shift, Eerie Interlude, Ghostly Flicker, Lae'zel's Acrobatics. Pardon Gust acts as removal / blinking our stuff, which is nice. Momentary Blink with Flashback. Ephemerate with Rebound is all really fantastic. And then Cosmic Intervention is like a protection spell that blinks all your stuff. So it's, you know, great against board wipes, similar to Eerie Interlude, but it's really, really strong there. Only 3 artifacts, right? Panharmonicon's important to have here. Arcane Signet and Commander Sphere are good. I included Commander Sphere specifically because Sun Titan is in the deck, right? And being able to draw a card each turn off of Sun Titan is pretty nice if you don't have anything better to do. So that's always good. And then, you know, Airbender Ascension is a new card. When it enters, airbend up to 1 target creature, which essentially you exile it, and then its owner can cast it for 2 generic mana. You know, casting timing still applies, so you could, you know, for 4 mana, it's like, hey, blink one of your things. And then whenever a creature you control enters, put a quest counter on it. At the beginning of your end step, if this enchantment has 4 more quest counters, then you get to blink something. So this is just an easy way to be able to start blinking a thing again, so that's really good to have. Candlekeep Sage gives your commander, when it enters or leaves, you draw a card. So because we're going to be blinking our commander a lot, it's going to draw us a lot of cards. So typically don't like this card, but in a deck where we're so focused on the blink strategy, it's really good to have here. Teleportation Circle is just at the end step, we're going to blink something. So fantastic to have. Utopia Sprawl as a ramp piece, right? We have a lot of forests in here, and being able to get an extra mana turn 1, fantastic. Virtue of Knowledge is also really great. Can copy Aang's ability because it's a triggered ability for 2 mana early on, and then later can be another Panharmonicon on the battlefield, so that's really good. And then 34 lands, 35 including that Witch Enchanter as the MDFC. And nothing too crazy here, right? We are just running a bunch of different colors, and then of course we're running like Bant Panorama, Broker's Hideout, you know, Tranquil Landscape to try and get some of these lands out and fix them in as we need it. But there's a good amount of cards that, you know, get us all 3 lands, especially with the new Spider-Man Urban Retreat, gives us another 3 color land here. Well, that's awesome. Let's do a quick play test with the deck. Sure, we've got ramp here, so we'll keep this hand and we'll go back to 125. All right, so turn 1, draw Noble Hierarch, which is fantastic. So we will grab that. Turn 2, we draw removal, so love that. We could 3 visits now, which I actually like a lot. And we're gonna get actually our Spara's headquarters, because we don't really have anything to cast this turn, and then we'll play the island. So everything's tapped but the island. Next turn, Tranquil Landscape is nice to have. Play the forest though, and then we have 5 mana. We could go ahead and Virtue of Knowledge, right? In fact, that's kind of risky. It depends on if you think your opponents are still kind of behind. Maybe you play Virtue of Knowledge because it's less likely someone's going to remove it. Or you could just go straight to town and play Aang and then do Virtue of Knowledge next turn. But we don't really have anything to blink Aang right now. So I think if we want to get the most value out of Aang, we play Virtue of Knowledge. And then turn 4, we drew to the land. So we'll play Canopy Vista. Cast our commander for 5. Get its ability twice. First, we get a OG is the only one we can get, so we'll get him. And what's great about him, if you're able to double the trigger like this, is that when he enters, you gain 2 life and scry 2, and he'll enter before the second ability resolves. So we'll scry 2. Both of those go to the bottom. We'll gain 2 life, and then we'll do Aang's trigger the second time. Okay, Brago is great here. It allows us to blink Aang again. And it sets us up for next turn, which I like a lot. I think Restoration Angel is also good, because we can blink Aang again now and get 2 more triggers, and potentially get something that can blink Aang next turn, and that sets us up even more. So I would probably go with Restoration Angel. Either way, our board is now in a really commanding presence, and someone's probably going to want to board wipe if they can, which is fine because we can just, if we have Virtue of Knowledge on the battlefield, so we can play another land. Oh, I guess, you know, we would have to, we have Cloud Shift, I guess, if someone tries to remove our commander, but, or no, that's what we got. So we don't really have anything. We have a Swords to Plowshares essentially to kill someone something. So yeah, I don't know. That's a good question, but yeah, this deck gets really strong really fast, and you definitely show that you're a bit of a threat, even though all your creatures are pretty low power. Commander being a flyer does not help. No lands there. Okay, 2 lands. Can probably make that work. Alright, so draw a card. Don't get anything. Next turn, draw a card. Don't get anything. That comes untapped. Alright, turn 3. Alright, we're going to restart. Did not get the biscuit that time. Okay, we'll keep this hand. Alright, turn 1, Wall of Blossoms is great, and so is Birds of Paradise. So we'll do Birds of Paradise. And Katara is great to have here. I actually really like playing Katara next. We'll play Hinterland Harbor. And get Katara out. Okay, Breeding Pool. And Preston. Okay, we're kind of curving out, right? So we're being curve kings, as one might say, but we're not really holding up any protection. Preston definitely may garner some if we're somehow able to untap with Preston. It's going to be great because we can play our commander and we're going to get 3 Aang triggers. We're going to be tapped out, but we're going to get 3 Aang triggers, right? Because, oh, actually, no, we're going to get 4. Because, and then a 0/1, oh, no, it's a white illusion, not an ally. So, yeah, 3 Aang triggers. First one, we get Elite Guard Mage to draw cards or Knight of Autumn to get rid of an artifact or enchantment. Let's say someone's got like a Smothering Tithe. Knight of Autumn, perfect. Okay, well, I guess we have to go Lord the Third Path, and it's a shame that we chose Knight of Autumn. And last but not least, Wood Elves or Kutil's Flanker. We can exile a graveyard or get a land. I think land is kind of the obvious play here. We're struggling. And it just goes onto the battlefield. Doesn't have to be tapped or untapped. I wish Breeding Pool was actually, you know, in the library still, because then we could hold up the offer you can't refuse. But as you can tell, this deck can get really strong here with the right setup. So obviously Commanding Presence, you could add cards like, you know, Moonshaker Cavalry and, you know, Crater Hoof Behemoth. I chose not to. I chose, like I said, to just try and you know, overwhelm our opponents with the like effects and the presence to eventually just be able to win the game out. That's not always the best strategy, so I don't know. You can say otherwise. Please feel free to let me know what you would take out, what you would put in. Like I said, don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you enjoyed the deck tech, and we do have some TMT on the way. I think next week we'll do some more Avatar, maybe save TMT for towards the holidays, but I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll be back next week. You have a good one. Bye.